Good evening. I'd like to call the Whitemarsh Board of Supervisors meeting to order for June 12th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, real quick housekeeping. Our chair, J.C. Toll, is out tonight. She had a death in the family, so our thoughts and prayers are with her and her family as they deal with the death of her sister. Patrice is also out tonight, so you're stuck with the three of us. So first, you see we have some guests in the room, very good-looking people. I meant Nika. So anyway, Chief, I'll have you come up and talk about the good stuff.
At the end of 2007 into 2008, Chief Eileen Baer asked for volunteers to research the possibility of the Whitemarsh Township Police Department starting a K-9 unit. This request followed several incidents where Whitemarsh PD assisted federal agencies with substantial drug investigations and arrests in the general Whitemarsh area. Sergeant Matthew Sedulis and Officer James Sweeney stepped up to research and plan the startup of the Whitemarsh PD K-9 unit. By early 2009, with the approval of the Board of Supervisors, the planning and research became reality. The K-9 unit startup was fully funded by mutual aid with an anonymous federal agency under the Homeland Security umbrella. This funding paid for the purchase of our very first K-9, Hugo. All of Hugo's care, equipment, and training for both Hugo and his handler, Officer James Sweeney's training, was all paid for. Castle K-9 in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania was identified as Hugo's provider, and Officer Sweeney spent 2 months at Castle bonding and training with Hugo. K-9 Hugo was cross-trained in narcotics detection and patrol. K-9 Hugo served alongside Officer Sweeney from August of 2009 until December of 2017. As soon as Officer Sweeney and K-9 Hugo completed their training, Sergeant Matthew Sedulis with his new K-9 partner Brock started the training process with Castle K-9. Once again, K-9 Brock's purchase, care, training were fully funded by the Department of Homeland Security. Sergeant Sedulis and K-9 Brock also had the 2-month bonding and training program at Castle K-9. K-9 Brock was cross-trained in explosives detection and patrol. K-9 Brock served alongside Sergeant Sedulis from August 2010 until October of 2016. Upon K-9 Brock's retirement, the Department of Homeland Security immediately agreed to fund another explosive detection K-9 for Whitemarsh Township. So in November of 2016, K-9 Nika and Sergeant Sedulis began training at Tar Heel K-9 in Sanford, PA. K-9 Nika was cross-trained in explosive detection and patrol. K-9 Nika served alongside Sergeant Sedulis from November of 2016 until the end of May this year. Upon K-9 Hugo's retirement in 2017, U.S. Customs and Border Protection funded the purchase, training, and care for K-9 Diesel, using forfeiture money received from K-9 Hugo, assisting them with the narcotics investigation and arrest. K-9 Diesel was purchased from Tar Heel K-9 and trained alongside Officer Sweeney at the University of Pennsylvania Working Dog Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. K-9 Diesel was cross-trained in narcotics detection and patrol. K-9 Diesel served alongside Officer Sweeney from November of 2017 until December of 2024. I'd like to read some of the accolades of these K-9 handlers and their K-9 partners. Officer James Sweeney, Montgomery County District Attorney's Narcotics Enforcement Officer, U.S. Customs Task Force Officer, numerous assists to the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General, worked with United States Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, on high-intensity drug trafficking area program, Worked with the United States Department of Homeland Security and Investigations. Certified by the North American Police Working Dog Association. Certified by the United States Police Canine Association. Investigated and contributed to hundreds of narcotics arrests, with both K9 Yugo and K9 Diesel. Assisted with the seizure of over $2 million in U.S. currency. Assisted with the tracking and apprehension of numerous criminals in the greater Montgomery County area. Sergeant Matthew Stadoulis. Both K9 Brock and K9 Nika were certified through the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms National Odor Recognition Test, the Federal Explosive Certification. Sergeant Stoulis has been assigned to the Homeland Security Task Force and has completed investigations with both of his partners. Sergeant Stadoulis is cross-sworn as a U.S. Marshal and has assisted the U.S. Marshal's Violent Fugitives Team with searching for and apprehending violent fugitive felons. K9 Brock and K9 Nika were often called upon to assist Montgomery County Bomb Unit with searches, with Sergeant Stadoulis becoming an everyday resource to the bomb unit. Sergeant Stadoulis and K9 Nika were assigned to the Montgomery County SWAT Central Region as the SWAT K9 element. K9 Brock and K9 Nika were often called upon by Homeland Security to assist with searches for firearms and around crime scenes. K9 Brock and K9 Nika assisted local, state, and federal agencies with tracks of suspects, lost children, firearm casings, high-risk searches, and warrants, bomb threats, suspicious packages, and dignitary protection sweeps. K9 Nika, who is here with us tonight, has also become the recognized face of the Whitemarsh Township Police Department. At this time, we'd like to recognize both Officer James Sweeney and Sergeant Matthew Stadoulis for their 15 years of dedicated service to the K9 unit for the Whitemarsh Township Police Department and for their overall service to the Whitemarsh Township community. We are presenting both these officers with shadow boxes to commemorate their service, and we are presenting retired K9 badges to both K9 Diesel and K9 Nika.
Take some pictures. Want me in the background? Like.
They've been around the dog more than us. Trust me, you are not going to my house around.
Great. Thank you, Zach. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. You're Ryan. How are you? Thank you for letting your dad help us out.
Good job.
Thanks for one of three. So you got one short stroke. Thank you all very much.
Please note that the K-9 unit still exists here in Whitemarsh Township. New K-9s and new K-9 handlers are starting our next generation of K-9 service to Whitemarsh Township. K-9 Seneca is our new explosive patrol K-9 with handler Officer Greer Kennard. Seneca's sister, K-9 Anna, is our new narcotics and patrol K-9 with handler Brandon Irwin. It should be noted that through the hard work of Officer Sweeney and Sergeant Sedulis, these K-9 continue to be funded by various grants and funding streams. Just this week, the Berks County Community Foundation awarded Whitemarsh Township $5,000 through the Richard Goff and Meta Kern K-9 Corps Endowment Fund.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for all your service to Whitemarsh Township. Thank you to the families for allowing your loved one to come out and serve our community. And I'll tell you, I remember meeting Nika for the first time, and it was up at Miles Park. And what a superstar. Kids loved her. Nobody wanted to do anything with Nika's handler, that's for sure. But everybody loved Nika. Nika also was, and I think Diesel was there too, with reading at the elementary school. Diesel, I understand, is not very social these days, so needs some retirement. That's all right.
Who doesn't?
We all do, it's okay. But thank you all very much for coming out. It's always great to see you. Thanks for all you do for the township. And we look forward to more exciting news from the Whitemarsh Township Police Department. Thanks, guys and ladies. Thanks, Amanda. Take care.
Thanks, Brent.
All right. Turn off my microphone. Thank you, Supervisor Manuel. He just told me that my microphone is better off. All right.
It is what it is.
So let's introduce our new fire inspector, John Geliebter. So Andrew is going to come up and tell us a little bit about John. I know John loves being introduced. I was at the emergency services meeting. This is not his favorite thing, but thanks for being here, John.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce the new fire inspector and deputy fire marshal, John Geliebter. John comes to the township with a very long background in emergency services. John started out as a paramedic serving in Delaware, Montgomery, and Philadelphia counties. During that time, he served in the United States Navy as a hospital corpsman assigned to the Marine Corps Aircraft Group Number 49. While in the Navy, he was active during Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and was honorably discharged in 1995, obtaining the rank of Hospital Corpsman Second Class. After serving as a paramedic, John pursued a career in law enforcement with the City of Philadelphia. He started in the 19th District, West Philadelphia, on patrol and then worked the plainclothes details. John was promoted to the rank of detective and served in several different units. John worked in general investigations and special investigations in Northwest Detectives. He was then assigned to the counterterrorism operations, where he performed multiple roles including dignitary protection, major incident response team, hazardous materials incident response, hostage and crisis negotiation, as well as an instructor. In 2019, John was assigned as a task force officer to the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the ATF, on the Philadelphia Region Arson and Explosives Task Force. John retired from law enforcement in April of 2025. John currently is a captain with the Winmore Hose Company in Springfield Township, and he resides in the Orland section of Springfield with his wife and daughter. We welcome John and all of his years of experience he brings to the Fire Marshal's Office and the Office of Emergency Management.
Thanks, Andrew. Welcome, John. If you want to come up and say a few words, you can, or just, it's always good to get on video. You can wave.
Break the camera. I just enjoy being here. Fire investigation is one of my loves. That's why I'm not smart enough to
do 35 years and retire and sit at home and do nothing. So here I am, and hopefully I'll last a good long time here in Whitemarsh.
Thanks, John.
Thank you all.
Thank
We're
you.
happy
We're
to
lucky
have you.
Yep.
Thank you. I think you had a helicopter crash, right? Isn't that what the crash landing? That's how you were welcomed into the township? Always good. Andrew was welcomed with a freight train derailment, I believe. All right. Let's kind of stay stable in the fire marshals. Very good. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Beth for the announcements for this evening.
Sure. First, again, welcome to John Geliebter as our new fire inspector. We're delighted to have you, and lucky to have your expertise, so thank you. June is Pride Month. The Whitemarsh Township Board of Supervisors encourages township residents to show their pride and support for our friends, family, colleagues, and neighbors. This Sunday, June 15, 2024, is Father's Day. The Board of Supervisors wishes all the dads a happy Father's Day. June 19, 2024 is Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day, a federal holiday marking the official end of slavery in the United States. The Board of Supervisors encourages everyone to observe the significance of African American heritage in our nation and county. It is a day of celebration and reflection of freedom for all in our country. The Whitemarsh Board of Supervisors would like to send well wishes and congratulations to all those who graduated this year from college, high school, grade school, middle school, and kindergarten. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thanks, Beth. All right. Do I have a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from the Board of Supervisors meeting from May 8th, 2025?
So moved.
I'm going to have to abstain. I wasn't there, so you're going to have to push this to the next
Yeah,
meeting.
it's going to have to be
We're gonna-
tabled.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Do I have a motion to open a conditional usage hearing for the Lafayette Hill Shopping Center LLC, Shops at Lafayette Hill, located at 400-404 Germantown Pike, to allow for a restaurant use?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll turn it over to Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is conditional use application number 01-25, the application of Lafayette Hill Shopping Center LLC for property located at 400-404 Germantown Pike, Lafayette Hill, PA, proposing to operate a restaurant in the VC1 zoning district pursuant to section 116-290.B, parens 10, close parens of the zoning ordinance. The township exhibits for this hearing will be as follows. Exhibit T1 will be the application, along with the deed to the property, photographs, and associated documents submitted April 11th, 2025. Exhibit T2 will be the proof of publication of notice of tonight's hearing, published in the Times Herald on May 21st, 2025, and May 28th, 2025. Exhibit T3 will be the resident meeting notification letters dated May 20th, 2025, and May 30th, 2025. Exhibit T4 is the proof of posting of notice of tonight's hearing at the property, which occurred on June 3rd, 2025. Exhibit T5 is the zoning ordinance compliance review letter dated April 30th, 2025. And Exhibit T6 is the Whitemarsh Township Planning Commission's recommendation from its May 27th, 2025 meeting recommending approval of the application. With your permission, Mr. Chair, we turn it over to Mr. Guttenplan to give us a briefing on this application.
Thanks, Dave. On to you, Charlie.
Thank you. As you've heard, this is an application for a restaurant, and here in a moment, it's actually relocation of an existing restaurant in the VC1 district from one location to the proposed location. And as you heard, one of the exhibits is the Whitemarsh Township Planning Commission recommendation. They discussed this and heard the presentation at their May 27th meeting, and after some discussion, made a unanimous recommendation in favor of the conditional use. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Ed Hughes, the attorney for the applicant. He has a short presentation he would like to give you.
Good evening, Ed Hughes, attorney for the applicant. I handed out the exhibits that were proposed to present. They were, I believe, in the package that we had it before the Planning Commission. So very briefly, we have Exhibit A1 is the deed proving ownership of the property by Lafayette Hill Shopping Center LLC. A2 is the Board of Assessment property records for the property in question. A3 is the letter from the landlord indicating a fully executed lease with the Chiffone Inc., the owner of the From the Boot restaurant that's going to relocate to the property if approval is granted. A4 is an aerial photograph of the shops at Lafayette Hill Shopping Center at the corner of Joshua Road and Germantown Pike down to Edmonds Road. The proposed location will be next to the existing Wawa store, the former Roxy Drug Store and dental office. A5 is a site plan prepared by Bowler Engineers with regard to the center. It's showing the parking on the property. There are 48 parking spaces in the front and 24 new parking spaces in the back. Owner of the property has striped the rear parking lot and established 24 off-street parking spaces in the rear where before it wasn't striped and sort of a no man's land back there. A6 is the existing floor plan of the proposed location, which is 3,209 square feet at the corner of the building at Joshua Road and Germantown Pike. A7 is the proposed floor plan of that 3,209 square foot area, showing the takeout restaurant entrance on the side of the building along Joshua Road. The main entrance will be from the front of the building into the dining room. It also shows the takeout counter, the kitchen, and the restrooms. A8 are a series of photographs of the existing condition of the property. Exhibit A is from the front of the building showing the vacant former Roxy Drug Store. Exhibit B is the walkway that was recently improved along the side of the building along Joshua Road, which provides access from the rear parking area. Exhibit C is a view of looking from the parking area at the rear up the new walk ramp towards Germantown Pike. Exhibit D is the photograph of the striped rear parking area. And Exhibit E, that's from the location looking east in the rear parking area. And Exhibit E is looking west towards Joshua Road, showing the striped area and the drive aisles were recently striped. And A9 are renderings showing how the facade of the existing building will be upgraded with Shops of Lafayette Hill and From the Boot logo on the frontage on Exhibit A. Exhibit B is also the frontage and looking down the driveway towards the rear of the property. And Exhibit C is a look at of the property from Joshua Road looking on the side of the building. So as Charlie mentioned, we have the From the Boot restaurant already operating in the VC1 district. We're just going to relocate to a new location in the same VC1 district. What happened was the owner of the From the Boot premises has changed, and there were some issues with regard to lease extensions and couldn't work out a satisfactory arrangement. So From the Boot has to relocate, and they want to stay in the township. And I think the Roxy Drug Store would be a perfect location. It's been vacant for a period of time, and I think it'll be a much improvement to the center. So they're moving because they couldn't work out an acceptable lease. They're going to relocate to the former Roxy Drug Store, which I think is a good location for them and an improvement to the center. I have two witnesses if you want to hear from them. Harry Feldman is the representative of the owner, and Mark Safone is the owner of From the Boot restaurant.
Do you want to hear from anybody?
I think for the record, it'd be appropriate.
All right.
Okay. Harry?
Harry Feldman.
Hey, Harry.
What's your occupation?
Hold on, we have to have him sworn in.
Can you raise your right hand?
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're giving this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And what is your occupation?
Vice President of Corman Commercial Properties.
Could you keep your voices up, both of you, please?
And the center is owned by Lafayette Hill Shopping Center LLC,
Yes.
and that's a Corman commercial entity.
Yes.
And the property is on the south side of Germantown Pike between Joshua Road and Edmonds Road.
It is.
It's in the VC1 district.
Yes.
And make take reference to Exhibit A4. Is that an aerial photograph of the existing condition of the center?
This is prior to the recent striping, but that generally is the existing condition.
And the Roxy Drug Store is on the west corner of the building?
Yes.
And you have a lease with regard to relocating from the Boot Restaurant to there?
We do.
And that's contingent on zoning approval?
Yep.
And you understand that a conditional use approval is required?
Yep.
Have recent improvements been made to the center?
Yes.
And can you describe what those improvements are?
We have upgraded the parking lot to meet ADA requirements, in addition to adding 24 brand-new parking spots in the back, as well as a walkway to connect the back lot to the front lot, understanding that parking is imperative at that site.
And you also installed some security cameras?
Yes, the lot is now fully monitored by security cameras, and we cooperate with the Whitemarsh Police frequently for investigations.
And there are 48 parking spaces in the front of the building?
Yes.
And the new 24 spaces in the rear?
Yes.
And what's the status of the location of the former Roxy Drug Store and dental office?
It is vacant. The Roxy has been vacant since 2016, so 9 years. And the dental office has been vacant for about 3 years.
And that space is 3,209 square feet?
Yes.
And a restaurant is permitted by conditional use in the VC1 district?
Yes.
And you propose some improvements to the facade of the building?
Yes.
And they're shown on Exhibit A9?
Yes.
And the fire marshal had no known issues regarding the proposed use?
They did not.
And you received a recommendation of approval from the planning commission?
We did.
And if conditional approval is granted, the next steps would be applying for building and occupancy permits?
Monday, if not sooner.
Will the use of the space by the restaurant have any adverse impact on the center?
Absolutely not.
And you believe adequate parking exists in the center to support the new restaurant?
We do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Harry. Look, can I ask you one question? Why did you guys put that island thing in the back where you pull in and pull out?
It's to define the in and out from Joshua Road, so we don't have cars trying to come in together. It's a one-way in and one-way out.
Okay. Because I know you're talking about it, but it's always been a challenge, the parking down there, and, you know, I guess my concern would be just that in general, like, because From the Boot is a big draw. I mean, we love it. We want to keep you in the township, but I would be concerned about, you know, making sure we have enough parking and everything.
Well, let me piggyback on that. Your last statement was that you believed there was sufficient parking. What's the basis for that determination?
We increased our parking capacity by almost 50% in the recent addition. So a lot of this parking in the back, which you'll see in the next rendering, is not utilized, as you can see from the photos presented. We've also designed the takeout window to, all takeout orders are going to be facilitated on the side of the building on Joshua Road. So all of the takeout traffic is really most naturally to be retrieved from the back lot. So you're not going to have cars in the front lot getting their takeout, they'll all be in the back.
Hopefully.
It's a much closer entrance for them.
Yeah.
We hope so.
Do you know what the comparison is, takeout versus dine-in business?
Next witness will
Yeah,
address.
we'll wait.
Okay.
All right, Mark can come up and get sworn in.
Please raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear the testimony or give this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
I do.
Can you spell your last name for me?
It's C-I-A-F-F as in Frank, O-N-E.
Thank you.
And what is your occupation?
Owner of From the Booth restaurant for August will be 26 years.
And where is that located?
517 Germantown Pike, Lafayette Hill.
You and I came to the township maybe 25 years ago and got approval to have the restaurant in that location.
Yes.
How big is the space at 517 Germantown Pike?
It's probably about 3,000, 3,100.
But the same size as the proposed
Yes.
location?
Yeah, it's
And you had an issue with new ownership at 517 Germantown
yeah, when
Pike?
the ownership switched hands, and with the owner that I had for 24 years, 24 and a half years, got older, sold the building, and just when the ownership changed, you know, my lease is coming up in August, not next August, not this August, but you know, we just come to agreement with some major issues that just need to be done in the center as far as the roof, flooding. There's just a lot of issues that he just did not want to tackle. You know, he wouldn't, you know, and I've been there a long time, and, you know, it needs new roofs, floods almost every time it rains, water in the basement. He just won't, you know, he won't put money into the center. So it's, you know, I thought it was a good opportunity, you know, for me to move along. So.
You want to stay in the township?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would. I have to. I mean, you know, I've been here for 25 years. I've lived here for 40 years, probably, yeah, longer than that. And you know, I've been over there for 25 or 26. So I definitely want to stay in Whitemarsh. I wouldn't move outside of the township, not after all these years.
And you entered into a lease with the owner of the shopping center at Germantown Pike at
Yes.
Joshua Road?
Yes.
And that's contingent on getting approval?
Yes.
And you propose to occupy 3,209 square feet,
Correct.
formerly occupied by the Roxy Drug Store and the dental office?
Yes.
And you propose to operate the restaurant the same as you have at 517
Yes.
Germantown? Now, take a reference to Exhibit A7. That's the proposed floor plan. Could you describe how you propose to operate the restaurant in the space?
The seating will be in the front of the restaurant. We'd like to use the side entrance if it's going to be possible, feasible for takeout. As far as it goes, I believe it's about 1,500 square foot of seating. The rest would be bathrooms and kitchen and front counter. And my takeout, right now, I'm about 50-50 between takeout and eat-in. And it's been like that. I mean, obviously, COVID was 100% takeout, but I've always been about 50-50 with takeout. And we've always done a large, we started as a takeout restaurant, so that's never really ended, you know. The more we added seats, but we would have a strong takeout. So we're about 50-50.
How about the percentage of your business that's lunchtime?
Yeah, lunch is unfortunately not too good, but you know, after COVID, lunch has stopped. You know, I mean, we're open for lunch, but it's very, very rare to be crowded at lunch. 85% of my business is at night, and that's really why it works in this center too, because that center, other than the market, even the market closes at 7 or 8. You know, the parking lot's pretty empty, and it's, you know, the same scenario at the other center, the new center, where, you know, a lot of those stores are closed at night, which really frees up a lot of parking.
What are your hours of operation going to be at the new location?
We're open 12 to 8:30 or 9 during the week, and then Saturday and Sunday we open from 4 to 9:30 on Saturday and 4 to 8:30 on Sunday.
And how many employees will you have?
Part-time and full-time, 12, 13.
Same as at the current location?
Yes.
And you're going to encourage patrons to park in the lower level?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have any concerns about the adequacy of parking on the premises?
No, I don't.
You think there'll be enough parking to sustain your use based upon?
I do. Yeah, I think it'll work out fine. I think it'll work out just like where I am now. You know, just because of the At night, most of the center is empty.
And you have no breakfast hours?
No,
First,
not planning on it either.
First is lunch around noon.
Lunch, we open at 12.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any board question or comment?
Yeah, just a couple questions. What's the seating capacity?
Right,
The one that we're
my
going
current
into?
one, I think I'm at 85, 90.
Okay,
Yeah, that's total, so obviously it's always less than that because not every table's full.
right.
Yeah.
And that'll be about the same in the new location?
I would think so. Like I said, I haven't had it drawn yet because obviously I don't want to go do that yet, but it's approximately, it's probably going to be close to the same.
Okay. And then do you anticipate having any outdoor seating?
No, we don't, I don't have any outdoor now. I mean, I have the tables out front, but we don't serve food
Okay.
out front. We did during COVID, and then we stopped because actually we're not allowed to, we don't have a permit for it. So we don't serve food outside, and I wouldn't do, there's no room over there, there's no sidewalk to serve food over there.
All right.
I have 20 out front, and
Hold on. Can you repeat that one more time? I didn't hear it.
I asked Mark, how many spots does he have currently over in his current location?
so,
Okay.
yeah, for the 4 stores, from, the 4 stores down, there's 20 spots in the front, and there's 10 spots in the back. And the 20 spots in the front are, I guess they're 8 foot wide. They say they're a little narrow, but that's what it is.
Okay. Any other board comment or question?
No, just I think it's going to be great. I mean, I think it's going to be very popular there. So to Vince's point, I think making sure there's enough parking is going to be important.
Very good. Any public comment or question? All right, Sidell, come on up.
Good evening, Sidell Zove, Harts Ridge Road. I'm a resident. I'm concerned about the handicap access to the takeout window. I couldn't, from where I was sitting, I couldn't count the number of stairs, but it looked like it was at least 10, 5 on 2 levels. What does the code specify with regard to the accessibility of a takeout window? That's the first question. And the second question is if the restaurant could make it clear that patrons can pick up takeout through the front door in the event that they can't manage the stairs. So, 2 questions.
All right.
Could be wrong, but I think there's handicap accessibility to the takeout from the front.
There is.
And you just make that clear.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fair enough. Okay. Any other public comment, question? All right. I love the way it looks. I think you're going to make that place look a lot better with.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, all right. Do I have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And we'll go to, where am I? Where am I at? All right, do I have a motion to approve conditional usage number 01-25 for conditional use to allow for a restaurant in the Lafayette Hill Shopping Center, LLC, as presented to the Board of Supervisors tonight?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good luck.
Good luck.
Congratulations.
Good to see you, Kosh.
You too. Take care.
Have a good night. All right, we'll go to board public discussion items. We're going to review SLD number 09-24, proposed waiver of land development for Whitemarsh Collision, located at 4100 Butler Pike, Plymouth Meeting, PA, to add 22 parking spaces with minor earth disturbance. All right, Charlie, do you want to kick us off?
Yes, thank you. This is a land development waiver, and the applicant has proposed to install 20 parking spaces in front of the existing body shop. And the reason that you'll hear is the applicant has had an agreement for a number of years with an adjacent property owner for customer and employee parking. The ownership of that building changed, and the parking is no longer going to be available to Whitemarsh Collision, and therefore they have elected to put in 20 spaces in front of the building only for customers and employees. It won't be for cars that are being left for repair or cars in the midst of repair. Those are handled elsewhere on the site. This is a land development waiver. It did require some variances from the zoning hearing board, which have been secured. It also requires a grading permit, and that is in process. So the last step is for the approval of the land development waiver. It was discussed at the Planning Commission meeting, also on May 27th, and at the conclusion of the discussion, a motion was made to recommend the waiver be approved. I hope I haven't given too much away, Jerry, but I'm going to turn it over to Jerry Rath and share a presentation that he has.
Thank you, Charlie. Yes, Charlie did steal some of my thunder, but that's okay. I'll skip around and it'll make it more efficient for us. As Charlie said, my name is Jerry Rath. I represent the applicant Whitemarsh Collision for the property at 4100 Butler Pike. Here with me tonight is the owner of Whitemarsh Collision, Paul Bartle, and he is also an owner of the parcel. And also with us tonight is our project architect, Fernando Ventura. They're here primarily if we have any questions. I'm going to try to efficiently present everything, and if you have any questions, they're here to answer. So the property is located in your limited industrial district, and Paul and his wife own the parcel. Paul operates his business, Whitemarsh Collision, there. He's been doing it for decades. We're seeking to add 20 spots in the front yard at the parcel along Butler Pike, and we're here tonight requesting you grant a waiver of land development.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. I had to get used to your remote. So to provide some perspective for you, that's an aerial shot of the neighborhood where the parcel is located, and the parcel is outlined in block, and it's got a note that it's 4100 Butler Pike. This picture shows you looking at Butler from the building, and that's the front yard where the parking is proposed to go. This slide shows the same area, but it's from Butler Pike, looking at, again, the area where the parking is going to go. And this slide shows the plan that was submitted, and it shows all the details on the plan. I believe that was in your packet, so if you need any details, you'll be able to see it better on the copy you have than what's on the screen. As I said, Whitemarsh has been operating there for decades, and as Charlie alluded to, they've had an agreement to use parking spaces at a neighboring parcel, 4110 Butler, for a large portion of that time. The neighboring parcel was recently conveyed to a new owner, and my client, Mr. Bartle, was notified that he would no longer be allowed to use their parking on that site. So we need to replace the parking from that site. Fortunately, we have the front yard where we can do that. The proposed new parking spaces will be used for the same uses as they had been on the adjoining parcel. That's generally employee parking, customer uses, and the return of rental vehicles. Importantly, the new parking spaces will not be used to store any damaged vehicles that are awaiting repair. Those vehicles are presently stored behind the building, and they'll continue to be stored there. So we're here tonight requesting a waiver of land development. And the reasoning for that is it's a very small project. The changes are very minor. It's only the parking places we're talking about. There's no new building, there's no expanded building, it's just the parking. There's not going to be any change to the way the parcel operates. Ingress and egress will not change. There's going to be no change to Butler Pike. Traffic flow will not change other than accessing the new parking spots. Deliveries will be made in the same fashion. There's no new building, there's no expanded building, there's no additional employees, no additional customers. Everything stays the same except the parking's now going to be in the front yard. It's simply to replace what we're losing from next door. The project is very consistent with the neighborhood. Let me get a different slide up here. So if we go back to the aerial photo, it shows that most, if not all, of the parcels in the neighborhood have parking in the front yard, and that's including ones on the Whitemarsh side of Butler Pike. For the zoning hearing that Charlie mentioned, neighbors were required to be notified of the hearing, and they were notified. No neighbors attended the zoning hearing to oppose the proposed parking. No neighbors communicated any objection to the project to my client or to the township before or after the zoning hearing. A letter supporting the project was received by Plymouth Fleet, which is the neighbor located right across the street. Review letters were provided by township staff, including the fire marshal, the township arborist, and the township engineer. The fire marshal stated in his March 25th letter that after reviewing the amended plans, the applicant has met all requests of the fire marshal's office. The arborist, John Rockwell Hosbach, provided a review letter dated March 18th. In summary, Mr. Hosbach's letter states that the notes on the plan and the proposed trees noted on the plan are satisfactory to him. Township engineer Krista Heinrich issued 2 letters related to the project. Specific to tonight, she issued a letter on January 7th, and she said, and this is a quote, "We recommend granting a waiver of the land development process." She noted that the plans would need to be reviewed for an earth disturbance permit, which Charlie mentioned a few minutes ago. And on February 4th, Ms. Heinrich issued a second letter related to the earth disturbance permit, and she had issues that she noted in that letter. We have retained an architect. He has not communicated directly with Krista yet, but we reviewed the letter with him, and the plan is that we're going to comply with all the township requirements. That's all I have, and we'd be happy to respond to any questions you have.
All right, thank you. Do I have any board comment or questions?
Got a few. Charlie, you indicated that the Planning Commission recommended approval, correct?
That's correct. And what I didn't mention, but in your memo, you've actually seen this briefly in January for a hold harmless agreement.
Yeah.
Because a few of the parking spaces in the front encroach into the ultimate right-of-way. And that's also been approved and recorded.
Now, refresh my memory. I was at the Planning Commission meeting, but I don't recall. Did the Planning Commission impose any conditions on their recommendation?
They did not.
Okay.
And the other thing, just want to mention, Jerry mentioned that nothing is changing. The access is actually exactly the same because the access is shared with the adjacent building where he used to park. So, as Jerry said, the circulation is not going to change. It literally isn't going to change.
So question for Krista next. Given the increase to impervious cover, and especially given where it is in the township, do you have any concerns regarding stormwater management at the site?
There were comments related to stormwater management. The plans that I saw did not have anything proposed at the time, but as their council mentioned, they'll be submitting will-comply plans, and I think it's feasible to put a stormwater BMP. I think there is a concern that it's most likely underlain by limestone, so we'll have to be sensitive to that. But
So the details are yet to be addressed,
exactly.
basically. Okay.
But they will be.
They will be. All right, thank you.
Any other board comment, questions?
Just add that they're a valued member of the community. I have used Whitemarsh Collision. They're terrific.
Thank you.
Any public comment, question, Sidell?
I'm sorry.
I too am, Sidell Zove, I too am concerned about stormwater management. This parcel is immediately adjacent to the sinkholes that closed Butler Pike for 2 years. We know that the area is underlain with limestone-rich soils. We know that there are other sinkholes that have been filled in the area over time, very costly process. And I would hope that in reviewing and approving this project, that the Board of Supervisors might consider imposing a condition that speaks directly to the concern about stormwater management and the presence of karst here. That's one issue. Secondly, I have a question about the design of the parking lot, and that is whether there will be any green buffering between the front edge of the spots and the roadway.
Fernando Ventura. At the Shade Tree Commission, they requested that we put some low-lying bushes along the front of the parking lot between the street and the parking lot. We plan on doing that. They need to be low-lying because the police department does not want any obstruction as we're pulling out of the parking area.
Did the Shade Tree Commission recommend particular shrubs for that purpose?
They did not have any particular shrub from my recall. So we'll comply with them if there were.
I would suggest that the owner applicant consult with the Shade Tree Commission and/or the arborist about appropriate plant selections, shrub selections for this area. Preferably selecting something that's native and evergreen.
This project did go to the Shade Tree Commission, and they did approve the plan.
With the understanding that the owner would plant some shrubs along the front as a buffer.
There were other issues in terms of tree protection and tree replacement, and that was all approved by Shade Tree.
What I'm suggesting is that since the architect is not aware of any particular shrub having been specified, that he go back to Shade Tree and/or the arborist and ask for a recommendation, something native and something evergreen.
Yes, we can do that.
Thank you.
And so just to reiterate, if the Board of Supervisors in approving this project can impose a condition that speaks to the need to properly address stormwater management in light of the karst-rich soils and the hope that there are no sinkhole problems as a consequence of this parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Krista, my understanding is that our rules and regulations already account for that, correct?
That's correct. There's a whole section in Chapter 58 that speaks to limestone and karst.
Okay, so when you do the review, when you get the details, you'll do that review vis-a-vis those existing requirements?
Correct.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
I don't have anything further.
All right. Hearing nothing further, do I have a motion to approve resolution number 2025-13, accepting the waiver of land development for Whitemarsh Collision located at 4100 Butler Pike, Plymouth Meeting, PA, to add 22 parking spaces with minor earth disturbance on the property as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. McAnally, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Moy?
Yes.
Mr. Emanuel?
Yes.
Mr. McCusker?
Yes. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right, that brings us to the next board discussion item, and I would hate to burst a couple balloons out there, but we're going to actually table the review of SLD number 03-25, the proposed conditional preliminary final subdivision approval for a property owned by Whitemarsh Township, 14 Marple Lane, Plymouth Meeting, PA, to subdivide a 10.21 acre lot into two lots, one of .484 acres and the other of 9.73 acres. 14 Marple Lane would be the .484 acre lot. The reason we're going to table this is because J.C. Toll is not here tonight, and she's part of the Abolition Hall Sub-Steering Committee, and she's been part of these meetings, so we're going to wait for her to get back till next month. So we're going to move to motions. Do I have a motion to authorize the advertising of bid for tree work at Abolition Hall, Corson Tract, for the Township Arborist Tree Assessment Report of February 6, 2025, and recommendations by the Shade Tree Commission and Abolition Hall Steering Committee?
So moved.
All right, so that'll go to Mr. McAnally.
Yes, the Township Arborist did his tree assessment report back in February, March, in that time frame. He came into the Shade Tree Commission, he came to the Abolition Hall Steering Commission, or Committee, and also came to the board workshop meeting in May. Did his presentation and discussed removal of all or any hazardous trees and hazardous heritage trees along the property lines around the buildings and anything that could be hazardous to the property or to their neighbors or cars driving by. So we're just asking to go out. We're going to work with the arborist to get a bid together. He will be also managing this project, looking to do a bid according to his phased plans and get some numbers, because right now we don't know what the numbers are actually going to be. So just looking to go out for advertisement now with the direction of the arborist report and the arborist.
All right, thank you. Do I have any board comment? Any public comment? Come on down.
Sidel Zove, pleased to hear that the arborist will be managing this project. His very comprehensive report to the township made clear that he's aware of the wetlands, 3 wetlands scattered throughout the property, including one that's about 25,000 square feet. His report also talks about, I forget the exact terminology, something like a no machine zone, something to that effect, of 100 feet around the wetlands. And at the Abolition Hall Steering Committee meeting, I raised a concern about the cultural landscape, and I drew the attention of Dana, I forget her last name, from the, pardon?
Dana Dorsey.
Dorsey from the Highlands, who's very familiar with the concept and the reality of cultural landscape, and she agreed that it is important that anyone working on the property, particularly with machinery, be aware that there are elements scattered throughout the landscape that need to be protected. Stone walls, pillars, other artifacts, cultural and architectural artifacts that are scattered throughout. Not so much in the fields as immediately around the structures that are concentrated at near the intersection of Butler and Germantown Pike. So I don't know. I mean, the arborist isn't necessarily aware of where those cultural elements, culturally important artifacts are located. So somehow or other, there has to be a process that identifies those areas and demarcates them in a way that they are protected. Thank you.
Thanks, Adele. Any other public comment?
Greg, are we still online? We are live. Yes, we're online, and no comments.
No comments? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I have to go back to another board discussion item. I forgot that we were going to discuss the review of the enhanced security update for the 4th of July parade, and I'll invite Chief to come up, discuss those.
I believe in the packet that was distributed, we discussed some of the items, but just in review, on the 4th of June, members of the Police Department, the Fire Marshal's Office, the Office of Emergency Management, Barron Hill Fire Company, Spring Mill Fire Company, Whitemarsh Ambulance, and our Director of Public Works, we all met and discussed the traffic control and some of the safety enhancements we're looking to put in place for this year's parade, understanding that our plans for the future are things we're working on. The plans for this year, due to the closeness, the fact that it's in about 2.5, 3 weeks, has caused some problems. But things of note, 13 Public Works employees have volunteered to come to work that day. That's 13 more people than we've had ever before from the Public Works Department. With those employees coming to work, it opens up the ability for us to use our Public Works equipment and our trained operators to move that equipment and use that in our road closure program and securing of the parade route. There's also 8 additional police officers who will be coming in, which gives us 8 more uniform officers to assist throughout the parade route and with road closures leading into the parade site. Both fire companies have voluntarily offered up their fire trucks, which also will be used. We've never done that before with the actual firefighting apparatus, which is above and beyond their fire police equipment and members, as our ambulance. They've offered up some of their fleet and personnel to assist with that. In discussions, also, the projected number of fire police that are going to be here this year is greater than we've had over the last 5 years. So with all those numbers increasing, it's increased our ability to cover more of the parade route with trained and certified operators throughout. The Fire Marshal and the Office of Emergency Management will open our Emergency Operations Center to coordinate all the different disciplines that will be coming out into the parade route and to the parade area, including our Park and Recs Department, to better organize both the closure and the opening of the road. Additional barriers and barricades have been and we're still working through this, have been promised to us or borrowed from local municipalities, Whippane, Conshohocken, the county. We're working with Delaware County to acquire or borrow. We're not taking it, we're borrowing equipment from them that they're not using on the 4th of July this year, and we'll look forward as to what that looks like moving forward, especially next year. And I can't say the word, Mrs. Moy, I'll just say the 250th, the 250th. Through research, Meridian Barriers, which is a company that builds, supplies, both rent and sells vehicle-rated barricades, has agreed to come in on the 4th of July and demonstrate a section of their equipment, which we will be setting up at the beginning of the parade route. We chose to place it there for 2 reasons. It's a high-end target, but also it's an area where members of the emergency services and other communities will have the opportunity to come and see it set up, and we can evaluate it as we move forward. They are a different company than the companies that currently supply similar equipment to Conshohocken Borough, Norristown, and Montgomery County. That company is not available on the 4th of July. However, I will be seeing that company at the Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police conference at the end of the month to evaluate and also look at them. So these are all things we're looking for both this year and in the future as part of our planning and budgetary planning for the future. These are the main items that were discussed with that group: the ability to use both the increased number of human assets, which brings to us the increase of being able to use the equipment that the township owns and stays within what our insurance carrier would prefer and recommends for us on programs like this. So again, it's a coordination between all the different divisions of the township and our emergency services partners.
All right, thanks, Chief. Any board comment?
Just thank you to you and all of our township units for the over and above push here to make sure the parade can happen. It's an all-team effort, and it shows.
One thing of note that I neglected, we will be closing Germantown Pike a little bit earlier this year to make sure we get the proper assets into position. That is being put out through social media and through the Park and Rec information package for the parade. But we will be closing Germantown Pike from Church Road through Joshua Road at 8:30 through the end of the parade, and then we will open the road up as the parade passes and get certain distances behind it before we start opening the road. Hopefully we can have, parade kicks off at 10, we hope to have the road back open by noon.
These significant security enhancements are very welcome news, and thank you for getting the team together and pulling it all together. Did I understand you to say earlier that Andrew Thomas, Fire Marshal, will have overall command and control of all these different moving pieces?
Ultimately, yes, through the command post, the Office of Emergency Management will oversee everything. There'll be representatives from, I call them the disciplines. There'll be a representative from Public Works in there. There'll be a representative from the Police Department and a representative representing Emergency Services in there with Andrew to coordinate and make sure that we cover all of these things. And we'll run the Emergency Operations Center right here out of our building, actually out of the Police Department, since it is the start of the parade.
Great, thank you. Just with all the different moving parts this year, it's going to be extra important that everybody work together.
Which is why we're going to do it that way, and not off the notepad in my pocket that we used to do it by.
Sounds good, thank you.
All right. And thanks to the fire departments, the ambulance service, and the police department for really stepping up. You know, the personnel stepping up, you know, they thought they might not have to work that day. They came out because they realized the importance of this parade to our township. And that really is a testament to the heart and soul of what Whitemarsh is. People stepping up to make it happen for these important things. So thank you very much. Thanks, Chief. Do I have a motion to approve the May 2025 financial report reflecting expenditures of $1,732,420.32, payroll $956,331.24, and pension planned expenditure $7,719.07?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We do not need to amend the agenda, so we'll go to public comment.
Hi, Deborah Harris, Pilgrim Road. In 2019, concerned citizens and Environmental Advisory Board members formed a working group to investigate the township's maintenance of its natural areas and nature spaces. They met for more than a year. The group's findings: the township worked very hard to keep landscaped areas, parks, sports fields well maintained for the public, but took a more hands-off approach to the care of natural areas and nature spaces to their detriment, because these areas require attention as much as landscaped areas do. Different attention requiring different knowledge and different skills, but still attention. The working group crafted a resolution. We know now we can't legally call it a resolution. That's what we called it in 2020, so calling it that now. To the EAB, asking the Board of Supervisors to lead the community as an exemplar of environmental stewardship by acting to restore and maintain a functioning, healthy local environment for the benefit of Whitemarsh residents and our ecosystems. It outlines 6 specific recommendations to achieve this. It also listed action items from the township's comprehensive plan that supported these recommendations. The resolution was passed by the EAB in November of 2020 and sent to the Board of Supervisors. Given the situation in 2020, there was no follow-up. I was at the end, the head of the working group. I was not there for most of its work, but I was there at the end. And to honor the hard work by that working group, and because the issues they identified still apply today, I want to bring this resolution back to the board attention and seek its actions on the recommendations. Most importantly, our 6th recommendation, the creation of the position of Township Land Steward. To start the process, I considered that since many of the township's natural areas and nature spaces had been purchased with Act 153 funds, and by law, up to 25% of annual 153 revenue can be spent on the maintenance and improvement of these lands, I first approached the Open Space Committee to discuss how the township could be better stewards of the land that we have purchased with open space funding. The Open Space Committee voted to send a memo, legal terminology, to the Board of Supervisors expressing their support for both increasing the expenditure of Act 153 funds for maintenance and improvement, and specifically for the creation of the position of a township land steward, which could be funded by 153 funds as applicable depending on the land that they would be working on. Next, the EAB reaffirmed its support for the resolution by voting to send the original document to the Board of Supervisors again. And I am here now to ask the board to act on the recommendations in the resolution because the issues that the resolution addressed still exist and the working group's recommendations still apply. To quote the resolution, the world and Whitemarsh Township are in the midst of an environmental emergency from climate change, habitat and species loss, and environmental degradation. The township can be part of the solution. The township can lead the community as an exemplar of environmental stewardship. It can act now to restore and maintain a functioning, healthy local environment by taking the recommended steps. Prepare an inventory of all township-owned properties, and 2, with professional expertise, create a restoration and management plan for all natural areas. It can facilitate improved and regular communication among township boards, commissions, and staff where they with overlapping interest in the environment. My added comment, the creation of Sam's position, and specifically the hiring of Sam, has gone a long way towards that. I'm quoting the 2020 resolution, but we love Sam and what she's doing for the township. Create and restore the township's tree canopy, create a plan to reduce trash and pet waste. My comment, thank you, Gordon, that was very much his thing at that time. But number 6, most importantly, the township acquisition of open space has increased the need for appropriate management knowledge to facilitate implementation of the environmental action items in the comprehensive plan and the 5 previously listed items. We recommend the hiring of a land steward to act in concert with Public Works, Parks and Rec, and oversee volunteer efforts. From the resolution, the benefits of acting on these 6 recommendations would be reduced stormwater flooding and damage and associated cost of repair, cleaner air and water, carbon sequestration, and reduced erosion, improved access for Whitemarsh residents to natural areas with the corresponding benefits to their health and well-being, increased property values, and improved township aesthetic. If we ever wish to get in the discussion, there's a lot of things that the township land steward could do. Primarily, it'd be land management. They would be overseeing the tasks associated with restoring and supporting natural areas and nature spaces, overseeing these restoration and management plans that is called for in our comprehensive plan, overseeing the contractors, any other workers, township employees working on those, and coordinating volunteer environmental efforts. They would also assist township employees working on township's landscaped areas as requested, where their knowledge would be useful, timing and care, mulching, pruning techniques, plant species recommendations, safe handling of chemicals. Green stormwater infrastructure. If you remember when we were doing the library parking lot thing, we found out that the library's storm basin was no longer functioning. No one had been, we build them, we don't pay attention to them. This could be a job that this person could do, overseeing the maintenance of township green stormwater infrastructure to ensure that its continued safe function. Confirm that those responsible for GSI installations, such as those at HOAs and commercial properties, are being maintained and inspected. Maintain records of the zoning board is starting to put green stormwater infrastructure as a requirement for non-pervious waivers. Who's making sure that those are obeyed, that those are not, immediately ignored once the township's not looking? People downstream of those people, are expecting that GSI to continue to work. Follow necessary follow-up care for tree plantings and other projects. Looking out the window here, they planted those trees. How long do volunteers maintain those? When does that become the township's responsibility with the caging and the deer protection and the mulch? And eventually these become the township's trees, and we need somebody who knows how to take care of them and do that. Dangerous plant control and education. Poison hemlock was found in the township in multiple locations, a lot of it in Fort Washington State Park. There's other dangerous plants. This person could do education, but also the safe removal of such items. So I am asking the Board of Supervisors to commit to working to restore and maintain the lands that we've acquired as functioning, healthy environments for the benefit of Whitemarsh residents, and to consider the recommendations of the working group, most importantly, to create the position of Township Land Steward to oversee this vital work. I brought copies of the resolution as it was written in 2020 for your review, but thank you.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Thanks.
Any board comment? All right, well, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I wish everybody a great evening. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Good night, everybody.